Namaste. This is Senior Yoga at Spanish Cove Retirement Village. I'm Debbie Miller, Director of Wellness, and this is our COVID-19 social isolation class. Today we're going to be focusing on deep rhythmic breathing. We're going to be doing some standing postures and poses and utilizing the chair to get in and out of those, and we'll also be going down on the floor and doing some poses there. You may want to have a yoga mat with you. If you like to use a yoga block or the straps, you can have those also. Definitely want a chair to help you. If you don't have a yoga mat, don't worry about it. If you are at Spanish Cove, we can loan you a yoga mat. Just let us know if you need one. We're going to go ahead and get started now. So we're going to be doing all of our breathing in and out through the nose. Let's go ahead and inhale those arms up. Roll those shoulders back. Bring those hands down by your side. Mountain pose. And let's go ahead and take a deep breath in through the nose. Inhale the arms up. And we're going to inhale peace. And exhale fear. Good. Deep breath in. Inhale calm. And exhale, worry. One more time, deep breath in, inhale, joy. And exhale, doubt. Good. Go ahead and bring those arms up one more time, deep breath in. We're moving into lateral flexion. So we're going to drop the left hand by the left side, reaching that right arm up and slightly over. Focusing on our breathing, just your normal pace, deep breaths in and out. And go ahead and bring that on up, that left arm up. Exhale, drop that right hand by that right side, reaching up and over with that left hand till we find a nice gentle stretch, maintaining good firm abdominals or engaging those abdominal muscles. And inhale, bring that up. We're now going to go into a leaning tree. We're going to lean to the left side, so we're going to take those arms and just reach up and over with them to that left side. Again, keeping those abdominal muscles engaged. If you want, you can lace those fingers together, turn the palms up and lean to that side. So a couple different ways of doing this pose. Good, and let's go ahead and bring that on up. And we're going to lean to that other side. Focusing on our breathing, deep breaths in and out through the nose. Inhale, bring that on up. Good, we're going to exhale, bring those arms down and lace them behind the back, moving into chest expansion. So you'll lace your fingers together and we're going to lift the arms away from the body. As we do that, we're going to lift our chest up towards the sky so that we're opening through the front of the chest and the front of the shoulders. Chest expansion helps us with posture, and you know that good posture affects the health of the entire body. So nice gentle stretch here, continuing to lift those arms just a little further away from us, getting that gentle stretch. Go ahead and release that now. Hands are going to come back down by our side into mountain pose. Leg muscles engaged, abs engaged. Let's take a deep breath in, inhale those arms up. And hinging at the hips, so lever length, spine nice and neutral, nice and straight. We're going to swan dive forward. We're going to bring those arms down in front of us and let the head hang and the arms dangle. Visualize any stress that might be in your body just falling out through those fingertips, puddling at your feet, running away. Just a nice little gentle stretch here. And let's go ahead and bring those fingers down. We're going to lift that head and chest up into monkey pose. So we're getting a nice stretch here through the back, the low back, and through the back of the legs. Monkey pose because we look like monkeys. And we're going to reverse swan dive here. Just kind of gather that energy and stack those vertebrae one at a time, coming up nice and slowly. Let's bring that on up. Deep breath in. Shower yourself with blessings. Good. All right, so we're gonna warm up the lower body now. I'm gonna face our chair, so we'll be doing a lot of this to the side. I'm gonna hinge at the hips. Again, keeping that spine nice and neutral. Bringing my hands on to the chair. I'm gonna step back with that right leg. That right heel is gonna go down, best we can get it. And we're gonna bend that left knee. So kind of a modified lunge here, just warming up those leg muscles, getting them ready for the rest of our yoga practice. So we wanna feel a gentle stretch here. If that isn't enough of a stretch, you can slide that left foot forward and bend the knee just a little bit more. Pressing down with that right heel, focusing on those deep breaths. All right, we're gonna match our breath to our movement. So we're gonna inhale as we bring that right leg forward. We're gonna exhale as we now step back with that left leg. Again, that heel is gonna go straight back. We'll bend that right knee, pressing that left heel down till we get a nice little stretch in the back of that left leg. This can really help with those leg cramps that sometimes wake us up in the middle of the night. So this is a great stretch to do if you're suffering from that. You can use the wall to help you and do this stretch right before bed. Good deep breaths in. We're gonna inhale and bring that on up. So now we're gonna move into kind of our work series here. I'm gonna bring that left foot right to the middle of the mat, and I'm gonna step straight back with that right leg. My right heel is gonna have a slight turnout. We're moving into pyramid pose, and I'm gonna use the chair to help me get in and out of this pose. So I'm gonna slide those hands forward on the chair. I'm now gonna push my hips towards that back wall, pushing them away from me. Taking a deep breath in through the nose, I'm gonna exhale my breath and just drop my head and chest kind of towards this left leg. So you can keep the forearms on the seat of the chair. We can take our hands and run them down the legs of the chair. This is where we can utilize that yoga block and maybe set it down. You can put it right in front of the foot and use that to come down a little bit deeper. Or we can bring our hands on either side of that left foot. But as we focus on our breathing, we're gonna exhale and sink into this pose, getting into those tight spots in the back of the body. Low back, glutes, hamstrings, working on all those areas. Taking deep breaths in through the nose, exhaling that breath. Just literally letting go of any of that anxiety that's in our body, getting a nice gentle stretch here. Exhale, sink down. Inhale, ease up. If we need to go a little more gentle, we're going to go ahead and bring that on up. Using that chair to help us come up, we'll pause here, make sure that blood rushes down so we don't get lightheaded. We're going to move into our warrior series, starting with warrior one. We're going to bring that upper body on up, and we're going to turn our hips and shoulders so that we're square with that chair. With the hands on the hips, we'll lunge forward by bending that left knee. We're going to look down and make sure that knee gets lined up with that ankle, being careful not to take it past the toes. Those hips and shoulders square in front of us. Hands can stay at the hips. We can bring our hands to our heart center. We can go into what we call cactus arms if we're wanting to open through the chest and shoulders, working on maybe the back. Or we can bring those arms up over the head, pulling them back by our ears. Now that we're in our warrior series, we're going to think about in warrior one, sinking the lower body down lower, so you could slide that foot forward a little bit, bend the knee a little bit more, lifting the upper body up, pulling those arms by the ears, finding that unmoving object in front of you to focus on, focusing on your breathing, just feeling the body becoming stronger, working on balance. From warrior one, we're going to bring our hands together. We'll slowly lower to the heart center. Bringing the hands to the hips, we're going to move into warrior two. So we're going to inhale and bring that up. And I'm going to pivot that right heel so that the toes turn out in front of me, but the left foot stays pointed towards that chair. And what that does is that opens us up through the front of the hips. So we're going to get a nice stretch here. We're going to float those arms up to about shoulder height. And then we will lunge forward again by bending that left knee. We want to bring it just over the ankle again. If you want to sink down a little lower, slide that right foot back just a tiny bit, bend the knees a little bit more. Keeping those arms about shoulder height, we can turn and gaze down that left arm, out past the fingertips. And here in this pose, we are feeling strong and balanced, working on that lower body strength. We do want to engage those abdominal muscles, so kind of squeeze in through the midsection. Focusing on deep breathing. Noticing how in control we're feeling in this pose. How strong we're feeling. Listening to that laughter outside the window. So good to hear during this difficult time, knowing that we are going to get through this together. Good. We're going to inhale and bring that on up. So now both legs are straight. And let's go ahead and tilt towards that front leg or that left leg. So the hand can find the chair here, and that right arm will go up from the shoulder. And this is where that yoga block can come in handy again. Or we can take that hand off the chair now, bringing it down to that left leg, and we can find that yoga block that I kicked over and use our hand on it to sink down a little bit deeper. That's where that block's going to help us a little bit here. And just putting that hand on the block to help you stay nice and steady. Or again, that hand can just stay on that leg and we slide down a little bit here. And I know you're feeling this. This is a hard pose. It gets into those muscles that can get really tight and affect our mobility, how we move. And especially right now when we're doing a lot more sitting than we've been doing. You're gonna feel this. So just breathe through those tight spots. We might hold this pose for an extra few breaths since we know we're really going to be feeling it here. But we're getting a nice stretch up through that shoulder joint and opening through the chest and shoulder, through the sides, working on balance, working on lower body strength. And we are hearing that life goes on as we hold this pose. And aren't we thankful for those signs of life and that we are going to make it through this? Good. All right, and we're going to slowly use that chair to help us come up out of that pose. Just kind of bringing that on up nice and slowly. And I'm going to go ahead and throw in a reverse warrior here. I know you guys are going to thank me for that later. Float those arms up about shoulder height again. Lunge forward by bending that left knee. And now we're going to take that right hand and just bring it to the back of that right leg as we lift that left arm up. We can turn and look at that arm that's up. We can also take this hand and kind of wrap it around the back. And that arm can even go up a little bit over the head so that we're getting a nice stretch through that left side and we're getting a nice crunch through this right side. Good. And it looks like we have just a wonderful audience right outside the window. All right. Great job, everyone. Let's go ahead and bring that on up. And we're going to slowly just kind of heel toe step that on in. We want to do that same series on the other side. But we're going to do a little break in between. And we're going to do a down dog and plank. So I want you to come back a little bit on your mat or ease back a little bit from that chair. Get those feet about shoulder width or comfortably apart. And again, hinging at those hips, keeping that spine nice and straight. We're going to bring those hands onto the chair. We're going to come up on our toes, walk back maybe a little bit further, drop those heels down, and then we're going to drop the head through the arms, going into a downward facing dog. This is such a great stretch for the back of the body, through the back and through the back of the legs. We're using that chair to help us, but you can also, again, use that yoga block for your down dog, or just bring those hands down onto the mat. Those heels may not come all the way down. Don't worry about it if your heels don't go all the way down to the floor. We do want to try to lift those hips up towards the sky though. We want those ears kind of even with our arms. And of course, we can pedal our feet in our down dog, which is one of my favorite things to do. Just bend a knee, coming up on the toes of one foot, and press that opposite heel down. And then we're gonna drop that heel down and bend the knees and come up on those toes. So focusing on our breathing as we hold that down dog, getting that nice gentle stretch. And such a good counter pose to down dog is plank. So we're gonna use that chair to help us come up. You may come up on those toes, and we're gonna turn our fingers out. We're gonna push our hips forward, and we're gonna make a plank with the body. So great way to work on upper body strength. We wanna engage the abs, which is gonna help support that back. We want the shoulders just over the wrists, and we're gonna make a straight line with the body as we hold this pose. If you don't wanna use the chair, you can always do your plank on the floor, but the chair is a great way to really protect those wrists a little bit in this plank pose. And we'll hold this, working on upper body strength, feeling really strong as we do our plank pose. And now we're gonna push that on back, and we're gonna step forward this time with the right foot. So the right foot's gonna go kind of in the middle of the mat. That left heel is gonna have that slight turnout. We're moving into our pyramid pose. We're gonna slide the hands forward on the chair, push the hips back towards the back wall, and as we exhale that breath through the nose, we're just gonna drop the head and chest towards this right leg so that we're getting into the tight spots now on the right side of the body, because it's all about bringing balance into our body. And when the body is equally flexible on both sides, and we have that range of motion, everything works better. So we can keep the forearms on the chair, we can bring the hands down the legs of the chair. Again, you can utilize that block, or we can just put those hands on either side of that right foot. When you're ready, exhale that breath through the nose and maybe sink down just a little bit deeper, going into those tight spots. Remembering to focus on your breathing, remembering that our breath is the best way to calm and relax the body and the mind, and a great way to help us with the anxiety we're feeling sometimes on a day-to-day basis now. So really focus on your breathing. Exhaling, sinking deeper, or inhaling, coming up just a little bit. Really noticing how your body is feeling in this pose right now. Finding those tight spots, focusing your breath to those tight spots, because I know you're feeling it. And remember, we're all in this together. So we're going to inhale and bring that up. Again, using that chair really to help us come up out of the pose. Pausing here to kind of get our breath and just kind of see where our body is feeling. We're going to move into our warrior series. So we're going to bring that on up. And again, this is where we can sometimes get turned a little bit. We want to turn those hips and those shoulders so that we are square with that chair. With your hands on the hips, we're going to lunge forward by bending that right knee. Getting that knee just over the ankle, and our hands can stay here. This is a great modified way of doing warrior one with the hands just on the hips, especially if we're feeling maybe a little where we need that a little bit extra protection in this pose, maybe not feeling quite as balanced. Or if you're feeling pretty confident, we can bring those hands from our hips to our heart center. Another great way of doing warrior one. Bringing maybe those thumbs even to connect with the heart so that we are feeling connected with our body. Focusing on our breathing, holding our warrior here, or again we can go to those cactus arms or arms overhead. And we're just going to hold this pose for a few breaths, checking in with our body, noticing how the body is feeling. Feeling ourselves becoming stronger. Definitely feeling the balance part of the pose. Definitely a challenging pose when we're working and thinking about balance and good balance. a pose that can really help improve our balance. So from Warrior One, we'll bring those hands together and lower to our heart center. And bring that to the hips. And we're going to inhale and bring that up. Normally I'd turn sideways here, but you're not going to be able to see me if I do that. So I'm just going to switch ends. We're moving into Warrior Two. So again, that right foot is pointed towards the chair, left foot is turned out. Arms are shoulder height. Kind of float those arms up to right at shoulder height. Lunge forward by bending that right knee. You can look down to make sure that knee is not going past the toes. And we're going to hold here, feeling that nice stretch across the chest and shoulders, cinching in through our waistline, so pull your belly button in. If you want to sink a little lower, maybe slide that left foot back, bending the knee a little bit more. And again, we can turn and look down that arm, gazing out in front of us, or we can look straight forward. I'm going to wave to the people out the window now. Feeling stronger. All right, and let's go ahead and hold that just for another good breath in and out through the nose. When you're ready, inhale, bring that on up. We're going to pause here, again tilting forward, tilting to the side. Normally we'd have that chair there, that hand can find the chair or the block. Or we use that leg, that left arm's going to come up and we're going to just slowly slide down that leg. And it's important that we remember here to watch that shoulder. If this doesn't feel good, if maybe you're nursing an injury through that shoulder, we can bring that hand down to the waist and just point that elbow up. So if this arm starts getting maybe a little fatigued or tired, just bring that hand down. Focusing on our breathing, noticing how our body is feeling, being thankful to be able to work out together. Maybe not truly together, but we will be soon. Hang in there. Notice how your body is feeling. And let's slowly bring that on up. You can use that hand on the leg to bring that on up, or we can use that chair. And we're going to move into that reverse warrior. So we're going to float those arms up again, lunge forward like into Warrior Two, but we're going to now bring that left hand to the back of the left leg or to that lower back, bringing that right arm up. We can turn and look at that arm that's up. We can go a little bit over the head if we want, kind of crunching a little bit more through that left side. And again, that arm can wrap around that low back or just hang by that leg. Focusing on those deep breaths, in and out through the nose. Feels so good to take those deep breaths in, especially right now. We want those lungs to be strong and healthy. Focus on those breaths. Focus on how the body is feeling. And let's go very slowly lower that down. We're going to heel toe that on in, just stepping that on in nice and slowly. And yes, we're going to do chair pose today. So we're going to utilize the chair to do chair pose. You start in like mountain pose, feet about shoulder width apart, that chair behind you just in case chair pose becomes sit pose. Let's bring those hands to our sides. We're going to take a deep breath in, inhale those arms up. We're going to exhale, push the hips back like we're going to sit down in the chair. That chest stays lifting up towards the sky, arms out in front of us. And a little more challenge, you can sink a little lower, a little easier, ease up. So see what feels best for you. We can do cactus arms here too. We can bring those hands into prayer pose. So see what works best for you. Focusing on your breathing. Feeling the legs becoming stronger here. Great way to work on being able to get in and out of the chair. This definitely helps us with those activities of daily living. And let's inhale, bring that on up. We're going to do one more pose before we use the chair to get down on the floor. This is tree pose, and we're going to use the chair to help us. So at this point, we're going to turn that chair around so that we have that chair back. at the top of the mat. Tree pose is a wonderful balancing pose, and we're going to use it for balance. So we'll start with the left leg, since that's the way I'm closest to the chair. Left hand is close enough to touch that chair back. Right toes are going to be down on the mat, and that right heel is going to lean on that left leg so that we can just lift the toes up off the floor. That left hand can touch the chair. We can bring our hands to our heart center. I'm going to go ahead and not just lift my toes up, but I'm going to slide that right foot onto the left leg. You do not have to do that, but I do want to show you that option. Hands are at heart center, or for a little more challenge, we can take those arms up overhead, pulling them back by the ears, focusing on our breathing, focusing on the way the body feels. If you step out of the pose, just step back in. Visualize that left leg sturdy like a tree trunk. Focusing on our breathing. And let's exhale and lower that on down. All right, now it's going to be right leg is our standing leg. So you can turn around using your chair, or you can bring it to the other side of the mat. I'm just going to visualize that chair there. So the left toes are down and that left heel leans on that left leg. Again, hands at heart center. We can put that right hand on that chair back if you'd like, and then you just lift the toes up. If you keep your foot here, you can just set those toes down if you feel like you're getting off balance, or you can slide that foot on up to the leg. Again, hands at our heart center, connecting with the body, maybe those thumbs touching that heart, holding our pose here, or for a little more challenge, taking those arms over the head. Visualizing that unmoving object in front of you. Visualizing good balance. Knowing that practicing balance, great way to help improve our balance and leg strength here. Deep breaths in and out through the nose. Again, if you step out of the pose, just step back in. We start right over. And we're going to exhale and release that breath. Good. Now we're going to turn that chair around. We want the seat open to help us go down on the floor. We're going to practice some poses that are really good stretches down on the floor. So turn that chair around. And we're going to use that chair to come down on the floor for some really good poses, especially right now with everything that's going on. So hinge at your hips, hands on the chair, and let's lower down onto the floor. We're going to use this chair to help us get down. So we're going to step back with the right leg, drop the right knee down. Swing the left leg around and come down one hand at a time. The exact opposite of that is how we get up off the floor. So starting on all fours, several good poses that we can do here for the health of the spine, which is something we definitely want to work on right now with all the sitting we've been doing. First pose we'll do is cat-cow or cow-cat. We're going to inhale into cow pose, pushing the belly button towards the floor, lifting that head and chest up, looking at the chair in front of us, getting a nice stretch through the abs. And we are going to exhale into cow, arching that back, or cat, arching that back up, tucking the chin into the chest. Rounding the spine, bringing space between the vertebrae. And let's do that again. We're going to inhale, lift that head and chest up, pushing the belly button down, pushing the hips back into our cow pose. And then we're going to exhale, arch that back up, tuck the chin down, rounding the spine into our cat pose. And bringing that back up into a neutral spine, we're going to move into spinal balance or bird dog pose. We're going to take our right arm and put it on the chair in front of us, shift the weight and take the left leg back the height of the spine. You can keep that arm on the seat of the chair, or we can lift it just barely up off the chair, working on strengthening the muscles up and down along the spine. Great weight-bearing pose. Definitely feeling this through the body. Engage the abs to support the spine. And let's go ahead and bring that down. Taking that left arm out straight in front of us, right leg back, about the height of the spine. Focusing on our breathing. Feeling the body becoming stronger. And let's lower that on down. Normally we'd do this again one more time on each side, but today we'll just do it that one time. Let's go ahead and move into child's pose. Go ahead and bring your hips back. Take those arms out in front of you. If at any time during this video or any other time that you replay it, you want to take a break, this is a good pose to take a break in. Bringing those arms above the head, or we can bring those hands down beside us, or even bring those hands onto that lower back. Good, we're going to bring that on up. We're going to swing those feet to the side, bring them around in front of us, and now we're going to go down onto our back and do some stretches here and some strengthening poses. Down on our back, on the mat, because there's so many good ones to do, and I think especially during this time there's so many poses that we can do here that really will counter effect some of the things that we're doing with sitting and sitting too much. So we're going to lower down onto the mat, feet flat, knees bent. We're going to lower down onto our back, bringing our hands down by our sides. First pose we're going to do is a bridge pose. So we're going to press through our heels, lifting our hips up. Arms are by our sides. And the thing about bridge pose that's so great is it really is great for improving the mobility of our spine. And this pose definitely is going to counter many of the effects of sitting too much. So it's going to strengthen the quads and the glutes and the hamstrings. And we're going to work the midsection, what we call the core, so abs engaged. And that back is just really getting a nice stretch. So again, the mobility of the spine, great thing in bridge pose. We can lace our fingers together under our back. That's going to open us up a little more through the chest and shoulders. We can come up on our toes, which will help target the calf muscles. We can lift our toes up and you'll feel it in the shins. So many different things we can also do in this pose. Since we're already here, I'm going to go ahead and unlace those fingers, bring them by my side, and we're going to go ahead and do some pelvic lifts. So just dropping the hips down about an inch or two, we're going to push up, working on pelvic. Some people call these tilts, pelvic lifts, pelvic work, and just go up and down. And you can go slow and controlled, maybe matching it to your breath, or you can go a little bit faster, see which works best for you. But great pose for working on a lot of areas of the body. Keep focusing on deep breathing in and out through the nose. All right, we're going to lower that on down. We're going to bring our knees into our chest. It's a great counter pose to the work we just did. So those knees are going to come into the chest, and we're going to be really careful to avoid the knees and bring those hands down by our shins. We can lace them together right here. You can go underneath the knees also. Knees to chest is a great back release. If your low back is bothering you, maybe you've been sitting over a sewing machine making the mask during this COVID-19 epidemic. This is a great counter pose if that back is bothering you. We can do a single knee to chest, and then you straighten out the opposite leg. That's a great back release also. or just bringing both knees in. Make sure you keep the hands down by the shins, and we're pressing those hips into the mat, keeping that back nice and firm up against your mat or the floor as we're holding knees to chest. And you can also rock side to side if that feels good. Sometimes I like to rock back side to side. Kind of feels like getting a back massage. All right, we're going to lower that down. We're going to go ahead and do our modified pigeon pose or figure 4. Go ahead and cross the right ankle over the left knee. And then we're going to lift that left leg up off the mat, taking the arms through the legs, lacing our fingers behind that left knee, and pulling that in until we feel a gentle stretch in that right hip. This one is a great way to grease that right hip joint. If the hips are tight, that puts a lot of stress on the hips. It definitely affects the way we move and how we feel. And just by greasing this hip joint, we can improve a lot of our activities of daily living by making the hip work a little bit better. As you're holding this pose, you can kind of pull that leg in a little more towards your chest, very gently, spraying a little bit of WD-40 in that hip joint. And because this area is so tight, this might be one of those poses that you might want to do more than once or hold a little bit longer if you have time. All right, we're going to go ahead and release that though and uncross. We're going to cross the left ankle now over the right knee, making sure we do both sides of the body. Lift that up. And again, I'm going to put my arms through and lace them together behind that right knee. Some people like to grab that foot and pull it on in. Find that way that works best for you. Just focus on your breathing, noticing the way your body feels. You are going to feel this one. This is one of our tight areas. So if we haven't been doing it in a while, you're going to feel it more than maybe you normally do. And that's normal. Don't worry about it. Know that everyone else who's doing this stretch is feeling it too. Good. Just focusing on that breathing helps a lot, especially in these poses. Good. And release that. I want to remind you that abdominal work is a great thing to do right here. So we're just going to do it, not for very long, but I do want to at least go over it with you. Feet flat, knees bent, hands behind the head, maybe thumbs behind the ears. When we curl up, we're going to press that low back into the mat. We're going to keep those eyes high and elbows wide. We exhale that breath through the nose as we go up. We inhale through the nose as we come down. And kind of just visualize those clouds floating by in the sky. Nice, pretty day. Inhale, bringing that down. Visualize your abdominal muscles becoming stronger. You know that if we can visualize it, we can achieve it. Strong abdominals help support a healthy back. So when we work our abs, we are helping to support a healthy back. Plus, doesn't everyone want six-pack abs? Good. And any bit of abdominal work is good. Very important that we focus on our core muscles. We're going to bring that on down. Bring your knees into your chest. Again, this is just a great back release. If your back is bothering you, too much sitting can cause us to have, problems in the low back and bother our back. So just getting down on the floor and bringing your knees into a chest, great way to relieve that tightness and that tension in that low back. Go ahead and keeping this here, we're going to do, we're going to skip windshield wiper. Go ahead and release that. But we are going to bring those arms out and we're going to move into a supine spinal twist. So when you're ready, drop the knees bent to the left and turn and look over your right shoulder. Again, working on the flexibility of that low back. We're going to inhale, bring those knees up. We're going to drop them now to the right side and turn and look over our left shoulder. And here we can be thankful for the opportunity to move our body. Good. Inhale, bring that up. I'm going to roll onto a side and slowly bring myself up. Instead of our normal relaxation, I wanted to talk to you about some breathing today. If you want, you can stay on your back and move into relaxation pose. I want to talk to you about something called 4-7-8 breathing. And during this time of COVID, a lot of people are very anxious, they're nervous, depressed because of the social isolation. And sometimes focusing on our breathing can help. And 4-7-8 breathing is you inhale for 4 breaths. You hold for 7 seconds. And you exhale, kind of pursing the lips through the lips for 8. And I think I said inhale for 4 breaths. It's inhale for 4 seconds. Inhale for 4. Hold for 7. Exhale for 8. This can help to reduce anxiety. It's actually been scientifically proven to help with hypertension, depression. It helps with sleep. And they tell you to do this for 4 different cycles. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 7 seconds. Exhale for 8. And right now with COVID-19, we know that one of the warning signs is that you can't hold your breath for very long. So strengthening the lungs and working on that lung capacity is really important. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about is gratitude. It's hard sometimes to be thankful during this time when we're so scared and we're nervous and we're isolated from all of our friends. I want you to know first, you're not alone. Several of us here at Spanish Cove are thinking about you daily. We're praying for you, and we are here with you. Speaking of gratitude, I want to tell you some of the things I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that I work at Spanish Cove, a place that cares so much about our residents and our staff. I'm thankful for Kathleen Garrett, who's in this room right now. She is our events coordinator, and she's videoing this. And she is a blessing, and I know she loves and misses you too, just as much as I do. I am thankful that I am going to see each of you again soon. Know that right now, this is hard. It's hard on us staff, and I know it's hard on you, but we are going to get through this. We're going to get through it together, and we are going to be together again. And we are going to appreciate each other so much more. I want you to know I love you and I miss you. I'm thankful for you. Namaste. Oh, it's not really over. I forgot one more thing. Don't forget to hydrate during this time. Don't forget to take care of you. Namaste.